new month. Who is excited about this? Brand new month. We all start at zero. We all are ready to set these goals, set these tones for our business, but not just in business, but in personal life. And it is such a beautiful thing that we all get to choose how this month goes for us, like how this is going to play out, what our vision is, what our alignment is, what our frequency is, where do we see this taking, like going. And with, I'm going to be very like red on this, but I'm also going to be very tangible because this is the last month for bonus season. And like this season that they last 4K. I see some of you cringe. I see some of you go, oh, like things like that. You need to realize you choose if you are going to earn that or not. Okay. Your mind has to arrive at the destination before your life ever will. And if you're always trying to maintain, you're always trying to hustle, you're always setting a goal and not achieving it, you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, when is enough enough? Because whatever you're not doing or whatever you're avoiding or whatever, maybe growth wise or any of it, you know what I mean? Because it's a what's the word? A division. There's something dividing you from that goal to get you to that next. So what is that? Look at it, face it, do it, and conquer it. And I promise you, your life will start to level up. The more you arrive at that in your mind, the more your mindset starts to shift, the more your actions start to shift, the more your vision and clarity and excitement and energy and passion and confidence start to shift. Okay. But that's not what this is going to be about tonight. Because, you know, I always go into mindset stuff. I could literally spend like a whole 7 hours speaking on mindset and why people aren't getting to their goals, their results, their vision, their clarity, their excitement, their passion, because it all starts in your mind. It's 80% mindset, 20% hard freaking work. So here we go tonight. We're going to be speaking on how to prep your business, your content, your brand, your clarity, all these things. Okay. Who struggles in social media? This is where you're going to be very honest. I want to see like a number one in the comments, things like that. Who has a hard time trying to niche down like what your brand is or what type of content to put out around your brand? You know, do you have 5 things you could name off that make you? Besides mom and wife, or besides mom and girl, like what significant other, if you have a significant other, besides being a parent or a spouse, could you name 5 things about yourself that you love to do outside of this industry? Let's focus there. Okay. Because this is where your content comes from. And this is where your passion comes from. This is where you learn how to put out content, put out branding things, put out pictures, captions, reels, all these things. Okay. So the point of tonight is to help you kind of niche down a little bit more, because you hear certain leaders train on like 5s lists, things like that. I am all for that. But I also realize that there's so many layers to who you are. And every single season brings out something different from you. Okay. So like when I first started, I was an overworked, underpaid mom working 15 hours a day, in school full-time, working full-time, anxiety ridden, but I was in the gym all the time. And I had a teenager. He was 9 years old, I believe, or 8 years old when I first started, and some kind of math in there. And so those were all layers to me. I didn't have time. I literally, like I said, I worked 15-hour days when I first started this business for the first 8 months before I brought myself home. So when I hear people say they don't have time, it's often because you don't have that priority or that clarity or understanding how to put out the content so that you're building your engagement and your brand. And so this is why it's really important to learn how to batch content, how to group your photos, like meaning go take like an hour and take some content photos in different outfits, things of that nature, so that you can go into your week very strong and organized. So the first tip we're going to go over is your social media and just the storefront. I'm not doing a social media audit with you guys tonight, but I am going to give you 2 things that I want you to focus on and that I do every single month that gives me a fresh, it's like changing the light bulb. You know, if you have like a light bulb that's kind of dim, no, there shouldn't be a max. Hopefully there's not. Maybe there is, and I didn't know that, but we'll we'll figure that out later. I'm not. So when it comes to the growth of your business, first thing I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself, have you gone in and created a new like profile picture in the last 45 days? Have you upped your like picture on your social media in a while? Because if you haven't updated your social media picture on both Instagram and Facebook, today's the day. Okay. Every single month or month and a half, 2 months, I try to update my actual profile picture. You want a clear, crisp, good lighting, good whatever. You can have your preset on it, which I'll go into as well. But you want to have a crisp photo so that people aren't just seeing like emojis or Snapchat filters or things like that. You don't want those type of things on your profile picture. I also personally do not put anything that is like Thrive related on my actual like profile picture. I am the brand. So write this down as well. Branding brings people to you. Content keeps them coming back. Okay. So when it comes to your brand, people don't want to just see Lavelle. They can go anywhere and get Lavelle. Okay. They're coming to your profile and stopping at it for a reason. So the first 5 seconds of what they see is going to be very valuable to what if they choose to follow, engage, comment, interact, any of those things. Okay. So if you find yourself having some issues with maybe interaction and things of that nature, I want you to first ask yourself, does your store look like you would want to enter it? Does that make sense? Because your page on Facebook and Instagram is your open door to your business. So that is a huge part of making sure you have that like professionalism as well. Because if let's say you want to like have free products or whatever, and you're here just to make some side gig income, that's totally fine. But let's say you really want to scale your business to 6 figures, things of that nature. Professionalism is a huge thing as well. And so what I mean by that is you don't have to have like unrelatable professional photography photos. You don't need to go out and spend money on things like that or do things like that, but you can practice having good lighting and good pictures and good clarity when taking your photos, and then also applying a preset to them. So something that every single one of my downline knows is that they have to, in order to like really monetize your social media in a way that builds engagement consistently, reels, aesthetic pleasing like presets, and being you and your captions are 3 most important things you can do for your business right now. And every season brings out different things, because guess what? We're in social media, things are constantly changing. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're not monetizing your social media platforms with reels, like so Instagram, you can make reels. You just go pick out 3 little audios for the week to use. I'm going to challenge you guys to make 3 reels this week. Okay. I promise you, if you have never made a reel, there is YouTube videos on this, how to make reels. And it's like 5 minutes and they will show you step by step. And it really, really, really is so important, because if you can find reel audios that make you like yourself, like if you go to my page and you go to my reels, most of them are like mindset based, they're funny, or they're like, I don't do TikTok dances and like all the things, like that is not who I am. You will not see me dancing. If anything, I'm like very uncoordinated sometimes. So that's not who I am. I don't do TikTok dances. Like I'm dyslexic. I like don't get all the vibes of things like that. But if that's you, utilize that. So if you love to dance, find reels that you can dance. If you are kind of like a goofy, like love to clown around, make jokes type of person, find reels that make you you. If you are more like mindset, things of that nature, then find reels like that. It's not hard. You just have to practice. Okay. So the first thing is, the reason why reels are so important is right now, that is like the main thing. Instagram's whole purpose, and I'm going to talk on Instagram first, is to make more video content right now. They're wanting to lessen their photography content, meaning like just your normal posts, and they want to see more like Instagram reels, and they want to see more like IGTVs and stories. the things that you can build genuine connections with, face and mouth, face and mouth, face and mouth, like we talk about. So that is why I promise you, if you start seeing yourself using reels like 3 times a week, 2 times a week, right? And you pick 2 for the week going forward this week, give me, like, bet me, you will start seeing an engagement growth on your platform because people are following you more or viewing your stuff more because you are being you and putting out content that aligns to what is kind of like trending, but what is making you you. The key is to maximize on like algorithms and helping you have more connections and value. And then that's where you layer in posts and captions and stories, because the whole point is branding, right? Branding brings people to you. Is this making sense so far? So when you're putting out reels and things of that nature, that is your brand, and we'll talk about this in a second, this is going to help people engage back on your content and keep them coming back to your page. And I want to set this tone. We have people that are super young on our team. We have people that are elderly on our team. There is nothing wrong with learning reels. There's not an age limit on this, okay? So I want to challenge you on that as well. So let's talk about how you can monetize on your brand. So planning out your post for the week can also really help you have less of like when you're saying, hey, I'm so busy, I haven't had a chance to post, or maybe you're like, I don't know what to talk about, I don't know what kind of caption to write, things of that nature. Sometimes what I would do in seasons like this, and this doesn't work always for me, but I am getting more strategic with this because, for example, I want to make sure that the content I'm putting out is valuable, is connecting to people, is pulling on people's heartstrings, is being authentic, it's building connections. I don't want to just post to post. Does that make sense so far? You want to, like, you don't have to also post every single day. If you put out like one really good content out within a 48-hour time and it's getting a lot of engagement, utilize that voice that you put out, because that is meaning it's building connections. So pay attention to what is getting engagement and what is getting like interaction. Those things matter because people love to see who you truly are, whether you're going through struggles, whether you're growing in seasons, whether you're traveling, whatever it may be. I guess I do have a max. I don't know why I have a max on my Zoom. That should have never changed. Anyways, sorry if you can't hop on and if you're just hopping on. So when you're planning out your post for the week, I'm going to kind of give you some prompts that are really good ones to start out with. These are Monday through Saturday, or Monday through Saturday. Yeah, Monday through Saturday. Because Sundays I unplug. I only hop on business for trainings on Sunday nights. Sunday, I can't talk. Sundays are my days of recharge, replenish, realign to where I want this week to go. So if you don't have like an unplugged couple hours or a day, I would also implement that into your business at least a little bit, because it's really, really key to make sure that you're staying consistent and that you're staying motivated. And motivation is a feeling. So there's no such thing as motivated. Motivated is a choice. And it starts within discipline. And if you're not showing up consistently, that discipline will waver. And then what will happen is that motivation will also waver. Everyone has a honeymoon stage. Everyone has a choice on how they're going to align that energy every single day. Right? So that's where discipline comes in. So for Mondays, and this is like if you're in a working situation, or you're in corporate America, or if you're, I don't know, like anything, it could be applied to any type of life, because it doesn't matter if you're working or if you're a stay-at-home mom or anything. The world does not like Mondays, correct? Everyone's probably either dreading Monday, dreading going to work tomorrow, not excited about it. Oh God, we have that. They even have a label, the Monday blues, right? Like you hear this expression, right? Monday, living for Friday, dreading Monday. Like, okay, first off, we need to change that if that's your scenario right now. So how you do that is by speaking upon these things, okay? So when I was first starting out in this industry, I was working full-time. Like I said, I'm working 15 hours a day. I would speak into life where I was going. I'm like, I cannot wait for the day that I'm bringing myself home. No more Monday blues over here. You know, I am building a legacy for my life, because this is not always going to be my circumstances is dreading a Monday. I'm not here to live for the Fridays and dread the Mondays. You know, speaking in, it could be even little PowerPoints like that. So here's what you are going to write down for Monday. Your day doesn't have to suck. That is your journal prompt for a Monday. You can make this your own. You can like how Lauren just put Freedom Mondays. You could do a post on like what that means to you. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I hate Mondays. Da, 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 da. You can flip it and word it however you want. But I want that to kind of pull some emotions from you. Okay. So your day doesn't have to suck for Monday. There's so many ways you can do that. It could be like, if you're a mom, for example, I'll give you some tips. Like, oh my goodness, are you having to drop your baby off at daycare? Or is that something that you're trying to avoid? So if that is something that you're like fighting for, then speak into life for the day that Mondays are going to represent memories. Do you get what I'm saying? So those are good ways just to kind of peel into your layers. So pillars, and I'm going to talk about this really quick. Branding pillars are what I am as a person. So me, I'm a podcaster, I'm a network marketing leader, I am fitness-ish, like I'm getting back into like my fitness regimen and getting really strict with it. I love decor and home decor and decorating. I love mindset stuff. I love learning about relationship stuff and how to broaden relationships because I've come from a divorced family on both sides. I love animals. I have 5 dogs. If you don't know this, I'm going to be doing fertility when me and Nick are both really wanting to, because I also want to start traveling a little bit more. So just little things like that. There's all the like more than 5, right? I've already named more than 5 things. So I'm a mom to a teenager. My son's going to be in high school next year, which is depressing. So like, there's all kinds of little things that I can start speaking upon that make me, right? So when I'm saying these things, do you hear things that come to your head that make you, that maybe you haven't even talked about before? Like I come from addiction. I don't always talk about that, but it's definitely a part of my pillars. So I speak upon it as well when it's on my heart. So maybe this is the week that I want to talk about that pillar a little bit more. I would add that into one of my posts for the week, or one of my reels for the week, or one of my lives for the week. Does that make sense? So every single day, you're going to put like a title to what your day is going to present and build content around that title, if that makes sense, around that pillar. So sorry if you hear Luna snoring. She's on my lap snoring. So yes, it's not me, it's the dog. So the next thing is we're going to go to Tuesdays. So what are these bonuses going to do for you and your family financially? That could be a pillar that you talk about for Tuesday. Like you still have a whole freaking month for like $4,000, $12,000 bonus on the line. Don't count yourself out. Believe me, if you're already going into this month like, oh, it didn't happen last month and it's probably not going to happen. Girl, if you tell yourself you can, you can. If you tell yourself you can't, you can't. So pick which one you want to be right about. Okay. So next thing is what is payday mean for you? Gratitude. If you want to grow your paychecks, you want your life to expand, you want the abundance to attract back to you more, gratitude is the key first. Because if you're focused on lack just keeps growing. If you focus on abundance is going to grow. Like I always say, if survival is your focus, abundance cannot grow. There's no space for it. They don't talk to each other. So pick which one you're allowing in your life and feeding. So that's Tuesday. There's a lot of prompts you can talk about that. So let's give you guys some examples, right? Tuesday, you could talk about payday. You could talk about bonuses. You could talk about the car bonus, right? You could even go in and ask people in the chat for people that have auto bonus pictures and make a little story around auto bonuses. Do you get what I'm saying? This is inspired action. Do you see how many layers you can pull from a Tuesday because of the different parts of our comp plan or the different parts of our like business that you can pull from? Maybe it's Taco Tuesday and you love cooking. This is another thing. I'm just going to give you guys some ideas. Okay. Taco Tuesday. People love tacos. It's relatable. Who loves tacos? I love tacos. I'm in Arizona, so Mexican food here is just mwah, so good. So my point of this is, if you like to cook, maybe that's a part of your pillar, okay? Right? Like maybe cooking is a part of your pillars. Give people recipes. How are you making those delicious tacos? Do you know how relatable and connectable that is? When I was really in my fitness regimen and people wanted to know what I was eating and like what my food intake looked like for the day when I was super toned, people would always like, how do you make your protein batter? How do you go and make your power balls, things like that, right? Like my little protein power balls. I would give people recipes. I would share those things. And because of me just being that person and doing things around my brand, people are like, oh my God, I want to know about these 3 steps you're doing. I want to know about this health regimen you're on. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm building valuable content around who I am. Sometimes we're just overdoing it. And like, sorry, that was my phone. Sometimes we're just going in and we're like trying to just post, like, cause it's what we're told to do, but then there's no value. And it's honestly scrollable. Like if your post don't make someone stop, they're just going to keep scrolling. Okay. And we don't want that. So perfect. Like, so the next thing I saw something Dusty said something that was super cool. Testimony Tuesday. This is another really great one that you guys can pull from. So ask in the chat, Testimony Tuesdays, other things I do. I go to the Lavelle page. I look at people's testimonies. I will screenshot their words that they use and take their picture, and I will make stories out of this. Does that make sense? I will also go in and post, I never put testimonies on my main page. It just is not aesthetically pleasing to me. Do what you want with that. I don't do like a lot of before and afters on my page, on my Facebook and Instagram page. And I don't do a lot of like product-y things unless I'm in it or it's showing. Does that make sense? So like I will hold my products, but as long as I am in it, then that's fine. Or if it's really aesthetically like looks good. And what I mean by that is good angles, good like lighting. Let's say you're taking a product of your samples, get above it, take a picture looking down on those products. Don't just prop it. Sometimes that like the lighting isn't good or the quality of it doesn't. Does that make sense? I know that sounds so, I hate sounding like that shallow, like you have to have perfect pictures, but you have to have good angles. People see that first. Like if I were to give you 1 and 1 and you would be like, okay, so which one looks better to you? Which one would you put like up first? You would pick whatever is more angled and crisp and clear and looks good. And a preset. I'm huge on presets. That's just who I am. And honestly, it's scaled my business in quite a lot. So the next thing is Wednesday. Biggest piece of advice you could receive or come across. What are things that you started for? Like what was your why? Take them back to your why. Why Wednesday? I'm going to name that. Why Wednesday? What's your why? Go live. This would be a great day to go live. Does that make sense? This would be a great day to go and talk about why you started. What is your mission here? What is your vision and clarity here? So talk about that. Talk about your struggles on Wednesdays. Okay. So I'm going to go through these a little bit faster so that I can go into my next part of this. Thursdays, hard things you've gone through or overcome. Thankful Thursdays. You could even do Thursdays around like, I know there's one I'm missing. I can't think of it. Thankful Thursdays, talking about what you've gone through, connecting back to even like transformations. You could talk about transformations on Thursdays, like not in like the aspect of like mindset transformations or what Lavelle has done for you type of transformations, but in like a before and after type of transformation. Does that make sense? And you could also peel this into stories. So do you see how I kind of am doing that? If that makes sense. If you pay attention to what I'm posting on my page, I'm also peeling layers into my stories. Does that make sense? So let's say I'm focused on products for the day and you see me talking a little bit more boldly on my post about products or what Black Label has done for me or how much is more like calm and focused and clear and energized I am. And I'm kind of taking it back to my like health journey why. You'll also see in my stories that I have before and afters, or I have product information stories. I have bold things in there. Does that make sense? I definitely am huge on at least doing 3 lives a day. And that means that could be, or not a day, a week, 3 lives a week. And that is for me, that's in the team page, that's on Facebook, and that's on Instagram. Do you see how I'm doing that? Those are mine because I'm a leader. And if you are trying to go 4K and above and you're wanting, that's leadership. And you got to tap into leadership too. So that is why the team page counts as like one of my lives, because it's helping me do that. I also do my podcast on Thursday. So I will share a little bit more of my layers on my, like, hey, a new episode's coming out, or get ready for this. And you'll see me show that in my stories and things like that. So that's another way I talk about on my Thursdays. And you can do anything. This is the other thing you guys need to understand. You do not have to have this little batch calendar I'm giving you for Monday through Saturday and make it exactly this. You can make it anything you want it to be, but it needs to be who you are and around those things that prompt that value and those connections. Okay. So Friday is, what are you looking forward to? What's your health, mindset, body image, attitude? Flex Friday is something that Lavelle does. If you participate in it, you should know, like, everyone's either flexing or showing themselves moving their body or showing what type of like wearable nutrition is, like things like that. But you can turn this into like follow-up Fridays. You can turn it into freebie Fridays and give like a mini experience away. You could go live on your Fridays because people get paid Fridays. So face and voice are super important to be utilizing. I definitely do a lot of lives on Fridays because people are excited to be going out of work. So the vibe is high on a Friday. Does this make sense? And I know this is where like my woo woo wah kind of stuff comes in, but the energy's different on a Friday. People are excited that they don't have to work on the weekend. People are ready to get off of work. They just got paid. So there's a lot of really good vibes out there. So I go live on a Friday quite a bit because people are ready to like have what you have, and you have to believe that part too. The next thing is Saturdays. Saturdays are a lot of things that I do family related. And what I mean by that is you'll see me a lot more of like simple stuff on a Friday and then a bold thing on a Friday. Sometimes I post on Saturdays. Sometimes I post twice a day on a Saturday. And it could be like just a very vague family picture of just like what I'm up to with my family or what I'm up to in my stories, right? And then on Saturday, let's say I'm throwing in a personal promo. Let's say I'm doing like free sculpt or free chill, you know what I mean? Something like that. Then I'm going to market into that, take some content pictures around that and put it out there like that. Does that make sense? So now that we kind of have a calendar, but I am going to talk about some content pillars. Okay. So content pillars is daily content, at least putting it up is better than getting no content. And let me repeat that. Putting up content is better than not putting up any content. So what I see a lot of people are not going to want to trust you to join them if you're not daily at least showing up for yourself in some type of way. Why would someone want to get in the vehicle with you if you're putting along on your little gas thing that gets you to the destination? Do you get what I'm saying? So consistency is super, super important in a business, no matter what that looks like. Consistency is key. You want to know your secret sauce? Consistency, vision, belief. Okay. So daily content and at least putting up something, stories, a post, a reel, something, right, is at least better than no content, even if you don't feel like you know what you're doing. So branding, like I said, brings people to you. Content keeps them coming back. Get inspired by others' posts. And I want you to flip the script. Sometimes I see people are always like, I get in comparison, or I'm not knowing what to post, or even, which I'm hoping you're not doing this, copying and pasting people's posts. And if you're doing that, that is not being you, and you will not grow a business like that. And I am going to say it just very clear to the point. If you're copying and pasting posts, that is not going to give you genuine growth in your business. It may help a couple times. You might work here and there for you. But if you think that's going to grow a business in the long run, I'm talking about, hey, when you're trying to go different ranks, when you're trying to get consistency in a business, you got to realize being someone else's words is not being you. Okay. So consistency is key. Also getting inspired by others. So you have to realize what do you get inspired by? This is where your brand kind of comes in. So what type of people do you want on your profile, like on your audience? Who's your following? What type of people are you following? What type of people are on your social media maybe that you need to get rid of or remove or, you know, mute? Maybe you are comparing to another person. Maybe it's another person in leadership or someone. Mute them. You don't need to see their stuff all the time, okay? But the other thing is use the things that you do get inspired by to build your own captions and content around. So let's say you got inspired. There's times that I'll see other leaders and they'll like put, for example, let's say they talked about the auto bonus in their stories, right? And they made some really cool stories with all the people that have earned auto bonuses. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's such a good idea. So what I'll do is I'll make a bunch of stories that are my stories, like on I use Unfold for quite a bit, or Canva or Over. Hang on, I need water. And then I'll go in and make my own stories around that topic because I got inspired by another leader using that kind of content. Does that make sense? So let's say, just like we talked about the promo today, Janie did something really good that I saw. I don't know if anyone else that I saw do it, but Janie was talking about $30 gift cards. And then I saw a ton of people talking about it after, right? So you get inspired by things, but you make it yourself. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, because this is where authenticity starts to kick in. Is you can still get inspired by, let's say I did like a weight loss, like stories and made a bunch of different like before and afters. I had really cool writing and it looked really good. And you're like, oh my goodness, I got so inspired. Cool. Now let's take that up a notch and follow that inspired action and go make your stories. Go get uncomfortable, go learn how to do it. If you want it to look similar, but yours, then ask questions. Hey, what app did you use to make this? How, what is the simplest way to make that? Do you get what I'm saying? So that's another really good tip to really focus on. Be intentional with visuals and captions. Think of your Instagram profile like an extension of your storefront, and share posts that allow visitors to discover your products and service and establish a connection with your business. I have notes, like, me, I don't take notes. So if you hear me reading and sounding like a robot, that is why. You want to connect that value to what they need. This is why, like, I'll add people that talk about anxiety. I'll add people that talk about being a teen mom. I'll add people that are constantly hating their job. I'll add people that have teenagers, because that is things that I talk about on my captions, or things that I am a part, like my brand. And because I'm talking about those things, they're connecting with it back because it's my audience. Do you get what I'm saying? Just like if you're a teacher, you're going to want to add teachers. You connect to that brand and that audience. Okay. So let's think. Create a consistent look and feel. So this is kind of where a social media audit kind of comes in, and where, I'm really big on, I talk about this a lot, but you want to, go look in your closet and go see what type of color scheme of clothes you typically wear. So maybe you wear a lot of white. I have a ton of black. Like, this is probably the most color I own and it's like outside my comfort zone. Like, I am a neutral gray, dark colors, like navies, dark greens, blacks, maroons type of person. Okay. So, but what I wear the most and what kind of like my house is decorated, if you can tell, I have greens, I have neutrals, and I have like dark colors, like blacks. And then my closet also has a ton of black or neutrals, grays, whites, things like that. So my preset, this is my point, and this is where it comes in. And I have a whole training on my YouTube about this part. I believe Janie did, if I'm not mistaken, but it's on color palettes. Okay. So what that means is you're branding colors. I will ask Janie to send this in the 4K chat and then in the team pages. But there's an actual website that you can actually take like your pictures, and it will pull your color palette out, like what your main colors are that are on your stuff. Okay. This will allow you to be able to build, like, pick a preset. Okay. There's different apps. I'm not familiar. I pay for my presets. The other thing I want you guys to understand is presets are a write-off. So anything business related is a write-off for tax purposes down the road. So all the apps I purchase, all the things I use for my business, I get to write off. So for me, I I spent like 2 hours picking out presets today because that's what I wanted to do because I'm fixing up my look of my stuff. So I kind of paid a little bit extra for the ones that I have, but normally I use Etsy. You can find them right now. There's like, they're having like a huge sale on there. There's like $1.50. Okay. If you don't know how to use a preset, guess what? What do you think my answer is going to be? YouTube University. Okay. Literally, there's like a 5-minute video. I have one made for my team page. I can send to you guys if you're outside of that so that you guys have that. Luna, no. Sorry, no one's home to watch the dog. So if you hear her barking, that is why. So yeah, and you guys can drop down your, like, I know there's a lot of different free apps. I know Teza has some that are free. I use Teza for like my video stuff, things like that. But if you're wanting to learn presets, you need to do some research, okay? That's where you have, this is going to be like, this is the time that if you do not have one and you don't know how to use it, this is where inspired action kicks in. And these are the things I want you to pay attention to, because these are the things that grow your confidence bucket, okay? The more you learn how to do the things that you're avoiding and to do the things that help you grow your business and your confidence, the more these things really help your business start flourishing more, because you're like, oh my goodness, I just did this. Now I'm leveling up. I just did this. Now my confidence is growing. So presets are, this part right here truly transformed my business and my confidence back when I started utilizing them back in 2019. I barely had like 1,500 followers, and it's got, Luna, 1 second. Sorry, no one's home. This is dog mom life. So I barely had a lot of followers when I first started. And it's not about followers. You obviously want genuine followings. It doesn't matter about that, but you want your following to grow. Pay attention to where your number is on your following, and has it grown over the last couple months. Okay. This is how you know if you're building genuine, valuable connections. Okay. Like I said, branding brings people to you. Content keeps them coming back. So the people that start following you is because they're connecting with you. Does this make sense? Okay. And you know, I'm not like, oh my God, you need to have large following. I'm not that leader that's going to preach that at all, because I don't believe followers make or break your business, but getting followed does, because you're building connections. Okay. And that means you're building content, and that means you're building authenticity. That means you're showing up. Do you get what I'm saying? It's a ripple effect of growing a business. And guess what, baby? We are on a professional business building like this is network marketing. So this is a part of it. Okay. So when it comes to this part, it's really important to start creating that look and feel of what you want your brand and story to look like. Okay. Yes, insights are a very good way to kind of keep track of like who's engaging, what days they engage the most with. How you get insights is through your content creator accounts. If you switch it from if you switch your Instagram from a business, or I can't talk, switch it from a personal to a business or a content creator. And if you switch it to one of those, I forget which mine is. It allows you to be able to grow your brand and see kind of like where your niching is. So like, let's say you get more engagement on a Wednesday. Okay, you get it a little bit more in the afternoon. That's a really good time to post then. Does that make sense? Because that's your niche of when people are engaging the most, and it'll be different for everybody. But that's a really great way to pay attention and know when to post that post for the day. So then you're not like rushing first thing in the morning. You're like, oh my God, I need to get a post up at 8 o'clock in the morning. Maybe that's not when your engagement's the best. Do you get what I'm saying? So you want to, those are really good, just small little things. You don't have to start doing it, but it's a great way to start paying attention and then implementing. Let me go back. Okay. So I'm going to give you some homework, and this is something I totally like mimicked M's post today. And I don't know if you guys saw what she did, and you probably won't be able to see it on my phone, but I went on Google Forms. You can't see it. I went on Google Forms and I like organized my whole life pretty much for the month on it. And or not Google Forms, Google Keep. Okay. So Google Keep is a really cool way to kind of just like set up like a little, like, it's almost like a mood board for your week if you want it to be, or a month or whatever, right? It's just like what Em posted in the team page. If you didn't see it, I would suggest go looking at it. But for my weekly to-dos, and these are what I'm going to give you guys to kind of help you too as well, is I have down 3 sample stories because I really want to sling some samples out at the beginning of the month. I focus on a lot of samples at the beginning of the month. I mean, I do it throughout the month, but I'm really like talked about them a lot at the beginning because I'm compounding those people to start. Does that make sense? Obviously, they're going to enroll. So if they're going to enroll, I'm going to talk about samples at the beginning so that I'm knocking out my free product credit, that I'm getting my 2. If you're in your VIPs, it's a great time to talk for your VIPs, things like that. And then I have 3 lives. I have 3 before and afters, 2 reels, 3 op stories, and batch content for the team. So like meaning I'm going to give some prompts and make some graphics for the team to kind of get inspired by. So like, let's say you like to do creative things. This is a really great way to niche into who you are. Maybe start making quotes, right? Use Canva. Maybe you like quotes and start making your own instead of copying them off of Pinterest or sharing them on your Facebook. Okay. Start making your own. 3 sample stories. Use Canva, Over, Unfold, Insta stories. Those are all really good ones that I use. Okay. The next thing is 3 lives. If you're not using, like, if you're not utilizing Facebook and Instagram, this is your sign to start doing both. Okay. You need to utilize both platforms. I don't understand why one's being used and not the other. If you're not seeing consistent, like if you're an enrollment machine and you don't use Instagram or you don't use Facebook and that's working for you and you're enrolling left and right, like all dang day, every day, and it's working only using one platform, then keep doing that. But if it's not working, guess what? Both platforms. Okay. So the thing is, I have 3 op stories. That means 3 times this week, I'm going to be putting out an op story. An opportunity story, and there's a whole different trainings on this. If you're new and brand new, don't worry, I will help you, or if your upline will help you. If you're my personally enrolled, I'll help you. Opportunity stories are something that I do at least 3 times a week. I go, like, for example, tomorrow I'll do op stories because it's Monday. So I'm going to tie it back into Monday blues, working, things like that. So I'll talk about the opportunity tomorrow. Maybe it will be face-to-face, right? Like my face-to-face and talking about it in my stories. Maybe it will be making an unfold story. Maybe it'll be using Over. I don't know. I usually kind of plan that out the night before, but I always go in and at least do opportunity stories 3 times a week and then product in my stories 3 times a week. You always see me showing up every single morning with my steps. That's a non-negotiable for my business. Like you'll always see me taking my capsules or making my shakes. I'm so sorry about these dogs or something, right? But I'm showing my products in my stories every single morning. But then let's say I am talking about the products for the day and I'm talking about like weight loss for the day, right? I'm going to do before and afters then. I'm going to put that in my stories. I go back and forth. Like one day I'll do business. One day I'll do before and afters. The next day I'll do face to face. The next day I'll do a specific product. The next day I'll do an op story. Does that make sense? Kind of how I do that on my stories. If you're not utilizing your stories, please do. They are literally like the bread and butter to my business. I literally put my post up for the day, put a reel up if I need to, put a live up if I need to, depending on what day is, but you will see me in my stories showing my day, showing my life, showing my business, right? And that brings so many people to my inbox or vice versa. I think you guys think that and my team did a training on this recently, but at how cold messaging is not what we do, but we definitely go in and start engaging and like growing relationships. And how I do that is through stories. I'm constantly in people's messengers because of stories in a genuine way of nothing to do with business or products or anything, but getting to know them, getting to know their goals, getting to know their needs, what's going on with them, who they are as people. Okay. Let me make sure I'm just checking my notes for last few things. Okay. I'm going to give you a couple different things to write down. So first, identify your pillars. This was the first thing that we wanted to focus on. Your pillars are your brand, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is identify your pillars. The second thing is you're going to analyze your post, okay? Type of content your audience engages with. Go back to the last 3 weeks. See what got you the most engagement, or the last 2 weeks if you need to, okay? And see what got a lot of engagement. Analyze what message you were sending out, what you were talking about, what needs you were specifically niching on, what struggles you were talking about, right? What things, maybe you're just had a baby, maybe you're in postpartum, whatever, and you were speaking on those things and it got a lot of traction. Those are things that you should tie into your brand more then. Does that make sense? So the next thing is analyze, ask yourself these questions. When was the content put out? Like, when was it the best time to post? Like we were talking about insight wise. What was the call to action in your caption? What was the call to action in your caption? What format did you use to post this content? Was it a reel? Was it an IGTV? Was it a photo? Was it just a quote? What type of content was it? Okay, that got that traction. As you know, reels are really huge right now. So pay attention to that. You want to minimize, or not minimize, you want to maximize on that, okay? The second thing the third thing you're going to write down, brainstorm new content ideas. Okay, brainstorming new content ideas is connected to the layers like an onion. You have the main thing, let's say teen mom, okay? Now you're gonna have all these layers that you can peel back from. Maybe it's home decor. You have all these layers you can peel back from, content ideas, okay? Next thing you're gonna write down, source your photos. Okay, sourcing your photos. What does that mean? So let's say you're talking about anxiety and how you struggle with anxiety and depression for quite some time, and something that you have gone through. You're not going to obviously say, thank God for Black Label, because you can't make medical claims, but you can have a picture of you with Black Label on. Does that make sense? Because you're not specifically using the word Black Label. You're giving that like small window behind of just you wearing your wearable nutrition. That's sourcing your photo. That's taking the caption and matching the picture with the caption. Does that make sense? Sometimes I do it backwards. Sometimes I get more inspired by like a picture that I have and I don't know what to post in the caption, but because I looked at that picture, it inspired something in my mind, because maybe at that time or place or thing I was going through. And so then I pull a caption from that picture. That's what sourcing your photo means. Okay, because it really helps you niche down on that. Axel, Luna, no. Goodness, they're worse than kids. Okay, so listen to this. You don't have to write this down, and I'm almost done. Hook. This is the first line in your caption that will allow your audience to stop their scroll. Use wordings that will compel them to read more. Okay. Line breaks. Avoid cluttered captions by using line breaks. It will also help make long captions easy to read and skim. Okay. Next thing, emojis. Depending on your brand, your voice, emojis can add personality, color, and emotion to captions, making it more interesting. Me, I don't use a lot of emojis because that's not my brand. Okay. Like I said, maybe it's yours. Next thing, CTA, boost your post engagement by inviting audience to take action. CTAs are call to actions. You put those at the end of your post or at stories. They're like your polls, for example, right? Like you pull at the end of a story, you put a poll up, like come talk with me or get $30 off in credit, and they can pick which one. That's a call of action. And a post, it's like, hey, you know where to find me. My inbox is always open. Call to action. Okay. If you don't put call of actions at the bottom of your post, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's not every single one, obviously, but it's when that time is needed. Okay. Next thing, design graphics. So I know a lot of us, we love quotes. We love to, like, I see a lot of people, they will post quotes, or they'll post like random things that they could have made themselves. Right. I want to challenge you to start making these yourself in Canva. Canva is not hard. You can use the free version of it. It is super simple. Google and YouTube are your best friend. But I made my team one time really focus on using Canva, and all them that had not liked it at all or were like resistant to it, love it now and use it weekly or daily. I know that for a fact. Canva is what I make all my podcast graphics, all my website graphics, all my like everything with practically over in Canva are huge for my business. And so are Unfold. And then schedule out your calendar for your content. Go in, you can use your normal calendar on your phone, or you can do like Google Keep, like I was talking about, and go with your own Monday through Saturday or Monday through Sunday and write down a topic for each day on what you're going to post. I want to challenge you guys to try this out for the month of August, not just for the week, but the month of August. Maybe you're not good at being consistent with posting. Okay. This is a great way. You don't have to, I think when we hear post, we think that just means a picture. A post can be a reel. It could be an IGTV. It could be you going live on Facebook and saving it and then uploading it as an IGTV. It could be whatever, right? But putting a piece of content out daily, whatever that is. Now write down a topic for each day. If Sundays are your unplugged day or you have an unplugged day, I have a graphic that I made in Over that lets everyone know in my audience, hey, today is my unplugged day. I put it in my stories. So if they go and look at my stories, they say, hey, Brittany's unplugged, it's her Sunday. They know this because I set that boundary and that's standard for my business recently. So whatever inspiration this is drawing from you, and I want you guys to pay attention to this. This is how I work my business. Maybe some of these things aren't your niche or your brand or whatever. I want you to utilize what makes you you, but take the blueprint that I've given you and implement it as your own. Does that make sense and help? If you guys are needing help with anything, go check out my YouTube because it definitely does have a lot of like these things